Hey everybody, it's Scott from Extreme Performance Training Systems. In today's video, I want to look at some of the different sled dragging strategies that we use for torso development for our combative sports athletes and our grapplers. Now, sled dragging is probably one of the best things that you can do as far as strength and conditioning for the combative sports. And oftentimes we get stuck in these conversations where if you're stuck on a deserted island, what is the one exercise you could do? And my recommendation would be sled dragging. And the cool thing about sled dragging is even if you're training at a gym that doesn't have sleds or access to dragging sleds, sleds are pretty inexpensive and it's something that you can add to your home gym, or just it's something that you can buy to have at home and then have a couple of plates that you can load onto your sled and you could do your sled dragging workouts at home. So sled dragging, particularly when you've got a upper body towing strap like this attached to the sled, which has two independent handles that you can use to push, you can use to pull. Basically any exercise that you could do on pulling machines or with dumbbells, you can replicate with the sled. So the sled not only allows you to get some strength endurance training in, but it allows for great conditioning too, as a lot of the workouts done for a certain time, if you're pulling the sled for longer distances and such, can become aerobic, or they can be used anaerobically as well. So there's a whole variety of sled training exercises that we do, things geared more toward the lower body, things geared toward the upper body. But what I want to look at in this video is a few exercises that we use for core and torso development for our combative sports athletes. Now it requires the use of a sled with the upper body towing handles, and there's a few different ways that you can work this when you're pulling the sled. You can do explosive movements where you pull the sled very explosively and the sled slides and it creates some slack in the towing straps, and then you just walk out until the straps get tight again, then you do your next rep. Or you can do them more statically where you have constant tension, where you're moving a little bit slower but you're creating a lot of tension on the muscles so that there's no slack created in the towing straps. Both strategies are very good. They just elicit two different training effects. I like the static movements most of the time, particularly for the grapplers and the jiu-jitsu athletes I work with, but some of the more explosive movements are great for power development as well. And you can turn these into great power development workouts where you might be towing the sled for 5, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then you're doing those explosive chops or explosive pulls and some of the movements we're going to work today. It's great for power endurance training. It's great if you think about like MMA fighters who have to be able to throw knockout punches and explosive kicks and things like that in later rounds after fatigue set in. So it's a great way to train for that. But like I said, one of the favorites that we do with a lot of the grapplers that train here is the more static exercises where you're keeping constant tension on the towing straps. So the movements that we're going to look at, and we're going to go outside and we're going to tow the sled around, and I'm going to demonstrate some reps of each of the movements here in a second. But the movements that we're going to work are, like I said, these are torso or core development exercises. One is our static ab curl, where we're holding the straps over the shoulders and we're basically performing an abdominal curl as we walk, and we're going very, very slow and keeping some static tension on the abs. And as we pull, we're even going to hold that curled position so there's a lot of tension on the abs, and then we're going to gradually let the sled pull us up. So that's how we do the reps on the static ab curl exercise. The second exercise that we're going to take a look at is the cross body chops, where we're going to be walking sideways and we're going to be pulling, rotating through the hips and the torso, pulling the straps against the sled. Again, this is a great static torso rotation exercise. Can also be used as a power exercise where you chop very explosively and then you just walk to tighten up the slack that's created in the sled and the towing strap. And then the last exercise, and these can be cross body, they can be down to high, they can be high to low. And then the last exercise that we're going to look at is where we take the towing straps, we hold them over one shoulder, and we do kind of a cross body chop as we're walking forward, pulling against the sled. And again, those can be done statically, just like in that standing ab curl exercise. So as we kind of cross body rotate, you can, as you start to tow the sled, you can stand up slowly and let the sled almost pull you up, keeping a lot of tension on the abdominals. Or you can do more of a power chop over the shoulder like a throw, and that's going to pull the sled up to you, and it's going to create a lot of slack in the towing strap. Then you're just going to have to walk to take that slack out for the next rep. Again, all the manners of training are very valid, and it's good to sometimes work more of the static exercises, sometimes work more of the explosive power exercises. Oh, we're going to throw in I forgot, because we've gotten some walking forward exercises, we've gotten some walking sideways exercises, but we also want to do one where we're walking backward. So we're going to do a low to high cross body chop where we're walking backwards and we pull up on the sled straps as we're walking backwards. So we're going to show 4 exercises so that we're walking in all different directions, forward, backward, as well as each side. So again, we've got the static ab curl where we're taking the straps over the shoulders and we're doing an abdominal curl, and as we walk, we're going to let the sled gradually pull us up, keeping a lot of tension on the abs. We're going to do the cross body chops, where you can go either explosively or statically across the body using hip and torso rotation to pull the sled. We've got the over the shoulder chops, where we're starting high and we're chopping down low. Again, those can be done explosively, or they can be done more statically, where we bend over, and then as we're walking, we let the sled pull us up gradually, so we keep more constant tension on the abs and the obliques. And then we got the backward walking low to high position chops, which can be done statically or explosively as well. And obviously on these chopping exercises, we're going to be working both sides. Now, as far as programming, there's many different ways that we like to do this. Generally, when we're using heavier weights, we're going to tow the sled for about 60 yards, give or take. We don't really go out and measure it. We've kind of measured our parking lot a couple of times just to kind of get some different distances. But generally, when we're pulling really heavy weights, we're doing that more for strength and power training. We're pulling the sled for shorter distances. And then when we want to work more aerobically and we want to work a little bit more, conditioning oriented, we've got a 1/4 mile lap and then a 1/2 mile lap around the complex that our training center is in. So we'll pull the sled for longer distances, and then we'll just alternate through these exercises. We might do about 12 to 15 reps of each exercise and then circuit through them for the duration of the pull. Or, we might do a certain, like if we're doing the heavier weights for shorter distances, we might just work a few series of one exercise and a few series of the other. It really doesn't matter. I just wanted to show you about 4 different exercises that are great for developing torso strength and power for combative sports athletes, grapplers, and such. And you can plug these in however you want. Generally, what we like to do is we'll either do sled dragging as a finisher at the end of a strength training workout, or we'll do it on its own day as more of a conditioning workout. And again, if all you had access to was a sled, you could develop an entire full body training system around the sled. Like I said, they're pretty inexpensive. I've seen them for as cheap as $85, $90, or as expensive as $200, $300, depending on if you get the big kind, like with the pushing handles. But the kind that we like to use, again, those are fine as long as you can attach an upper body towing strap to it. Those pushing sleds like the Prowlers and such, they're a great workout. Just make sure if that's the kind of sled that you add to your home gym or your training center, that you have the opportunity, it's got a ring on the front where you can clip the upper body towing strap too, because a lot of these pulling exercises are some of the ones that I favorite with the combative sports athletes, the fighters and the grapplers that I work with. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe to the video by hitting that button down in the corner so you get updates on future videos. If you like, be sure to like and share this video with anybody that you think might benefit from it. And if you'd like a little bit more specific work or some specific programming advice, be sure to contact me at scott@eptsgym.com and inquire about my online coaching program, where I can offer different types of program design as well as video analysis feedback to help you develop a training program based more specifically around your goals. But I'm going to keep pushing out some content for you on my combative sports athletes playlist here on my YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe so you get updates on those videos. And we're going to be going over everything here in upcoming videos, everything from strength and power training, endurance training, and everything that can benefit the combative sports athletes. So again, hopefully you like this video, and let's get outside and drag some sleds. So we'll see you next time.